Hello and welcome to all the Greater Toronto Area educators. Let's talk about your school garden next spring because you don't want to wait any longer to do that. You don't want to even wait for the winter to come. I'm Leila Mireskandari, your edible gardening teacher, and in this video I'm going to tell you 3 reasons why you want to start planning right now and start gardening even right now. Reason number 1. You don't want to forget about all the fruit that you planted with the kids in spring. I talked about this in my previous video. In that video, I told you about all the fruits and vegetables that, if planted in spring, are ready to be harvested right about now. I also talked about in that video about vegetables and herbs that, if planted in spring, would be ready to harvest seeds off of right about now. Make sure you watch that video. If you didn't, look up here. There's a link to that video, and there's a link to this video on that page. So don't worry about losing this video. You won't. There's links to come back here. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is make sure you don't lose the opportunity to harvest the food and the seeds. And when do you do that? Now, before it gets freezing cold. In fall, right when you're back. Also, harvesting seed and saving seed is part of your planning actually for next spring. And when do you do that? The planning, you guessed it right about now. Reason number 2. The second reason you don't want to wait any longer is that when spring comes, time flies and it gets late really quickly to do things. Did you know that you can start some plants as indoors as early as late February, beginning of March? Chives, onions, leeks, for example. You can actually start your eggplants early March. You have to. And you can start your arugulas too. By mid-March, you have to be ready to do your broccolis, Brussels sprouts, cabbages, cauliflowers, peas, marigolds, peppers, tomatoes. And you can also start your first set of lettuce. By beginning of April, although there's still a month and a half left until the last frost in Toronto, you can start seeding outdoors your cool crops. Your cauliflowers and Brussels sprouts can go out too, and also onions. What I'm trying to say here is when spring is here, you have to be ready with a plan. You also have to have seeds, containers, beds, and everything ready. Or you at least need to know when and how you're planning to get them ready to go. And no matter how small your project is, you need to have the funds sorted out in your hand. Gardening with kids is not expensive if you have a plan, but if you jump at it last minute without a plan, it can unnecessarily become expensive. If you're applying for a grant, for example, you have to have the plan and possibly a design, preferably with the participation of the kids, ready to go. Otherwise, the due date comes and goes quickly and you lose your chance. As I always say, teaching edible gardening to students in schools is not hard if you have a plan. Maintaining a school garden with the kids is not a lot of work either if you work smartly. But gardening in schools with kids could get messy and you could get disoriented pretty quickly if you don't have a plan and you jump at it without a plan. And you know what's worse? If spring comes and you suddenly realize you don't have enough time and you decide you give up on your dream and not have a school garden this year. Maybe you're one of those educators who had dreamt about a school garden for many years, and every year you wait for the gardening season to get here. And when it does get here, you being busy and all, because guess what? This is not the only thing you do. Go figure. You decide that you don't have time for it, and you promise yourself you'll do it next year. And next year is a repeat of the previous year. Maybe you're one of those educators that after so many years you're convinced it's not doable. That is simply not true. I have built school gardens spending only 1 hour a week, only for 10 weeks with the kids, nothing more. Not just once, in 4 school gardens. My schools are living proof that running a successful school garden is not time-consuming. Planning and writing the curricula is the time-consuming part. Trust me on that. You need to give yourself time. You need to start now. Do you have a grass area in your school that you would like to turn into a garden bed for this spring? Let me tell you a soil improving technique that you can do with the kids right now in fall to have fertile soil in spring. This technique is called sheet mulching. Step number 1, cut the grass, if there is grass, and leave it on with all the weeds and vegetation. Try to be diverse and include as many weeds as you can. Weeds are usually things like dandelion, for example, very good accumulators of nutrients in their leaves and in their roots. So you can actually even put some, throw some veggie kitchen scraps on the grass. Imagine the fun the kids will have with this. This would be the rare occasion that they have their teacher's permission to make a mess. Step number 2, water, 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 water. Or do this activity when it had rained the night before, but remember to cut the grass before that, because cutting wet grass is not easy. Step number 3, get free cardboard, non-glossy cardboard from your local grocery store or other stores that are around. Lay them on top of the vegetation that you just left there and make sure that they are actually overlapping. You can also use newspaper, but make sure you use like 10 pages of newspaper thick and overlap them. Step number 4, water, water, water again. This helps the cardboard to stick to the ground, which is necessary for decomposing. And especially in a windy day, you don't want your kids to fly after flying cardboard and newspaper all over the place. Trust me on that one. Step number 5, cover the wet cardboard with thick layers of leaf mulch. Where do you get the mulch from? You look around your neighborhood, in your school neighborhood or your home neighborhood, later in fall. Neighbors collect cleanly, package, and leave it at their doorsteps for you to take. In fact, they don't care who takes it. The sooner the leaves are gone, the happier the neighbor. If you have access to a lawnmower, run it over the leaves. The smaller the pieces of the leaves, the less likely they will fly away in the wind, and the quicker they will decompose. And that's it. Really, that's it. What happens is that all the vegetation that you left underneath the cardboard will actually get dissolved into soil, decomposed into soil, giving it all its nutrients and organic matter. Also, the cardboard will eventually decompose, giving it carbon, and voila, you get to have fertile soil next season. Obviously, the sooner you do this in fall, the more time you will give nature to work on it. Therefore, you'll have sooner a better and fertile soil. Even if in spring the cardboard was not completely decomposed into the soil, you can cut through the cardboard and put some compost there and plant your seedlings right in there. Did you notice that this activity costs you $0 and it needs no big muscles to dig anything? And it can be a lot of fun to do with the kids. Reason number 3 you don't want to wait until later is that there's a lot of gardening, a lot of things that you can plant right about now that actually you can harvest before winter. And there are things that you only can plant right now to harvest next spring. I will talk about all of that in my next video that you will receive in a few days. I hope you found this video helpful. Please scroll down and leave me a comment. Tell me about your plans. Tell me how you're planning to plan for your spring garden. And if you have any other questions, leave me the comment and I will eagerly look at them and read them and answer them. Until next time, cheers and peace.